A grain fleet vanished at sea. 3 weeks later, a frontier garrison sold its shields. No battle, no trumpet, just hunger turning discipline into cash. Rome didn't fall in a day, it ran out of tomorrows, and the ledger screamed louder than any horn. Marble still shone on the forum, SPQR banners still fluttered, but the Annona, Rome's grain lifeline, drifted late into Ostia, and pay chests arrived light. On paper, the empire lived. In the stomach, it starved. You don't hear a system die, you feel it miss a heartbeat. When the denarius lost silver, loyalty lost weight. When Constantine's solidus steadied the rich, the poor sank deeper into arrears. The map stayed the same. The math didn't. Coins changed, oaths changed faster. From the limes to the castra, orders slowed, rations thinned, promises slipped a week, then a month. The world's greatest machine ran on schedules, and the schedules broke. If the bread stops, the borders follow. Goths at the gates, Vandals on the sea, Huns like thunder. True, but not the whole truth. The killers came from inside. Coin mints, grain contracts, and a loyalty that went up for sale. The blade was foreign, the wound was self-inflicted. We'll track 3 arteries: money, food, and men. Money, debasement in the 3rd century, the denarius hollowed to a whisper. Food, Annona shipments that kept cities breathing and armies obedient. Men, a shift from citizen legionary to foederati on payroll. Follow the cash, the bread, and the boots. You'll see named breaks, not vague decline. Adrianople in 378, shock and erasure. Carthage in 439, the choke at the oven door. Odoacer in 476, a signature, not a siege. The fall hides in dates you already know. By the end, the East survives and the West coughs itself to sleep. Not because one fought braver, because one could still afford to. Marble can lie, budgets don't. Picture Marcus Aurelius in a damp tent writing philosophy as a cough from the East becomes the Antonine Plague. Cities thin, tax rolls contract, recruitment tightens. The machine stutters, just a little, a soft wobble before the first crack, then the 3rd century storm. Dozens of emperors in 50 years. The Antoninianus sinks to scrap, silver content plunging below 5%. Pay becomes complaint. Complaint becomes mutiny. Armies make emperors. Armies unmake them. When coins rust, thrones rust faster. Curiales, city councilors, are crushed by lifetime quotas. Many flee office. The state squeezes harder. Smallholders slide into the colonate, bound to estates so the harvest and the tax arrive on time. Rome saves the ledger and loses the citizen. A rescued spreadsheet, a ruined society. Diocletian slams the brakes. Tetrarchy, more provinces, taxes in kind, an edict on maximum prices. Order returns on paper, but every new office needs a salary. The budget grows a spine and a hunger. Every fix prints a new bill. Constantine patches currency with the solidus and splits the army. Comitatenses, mobile field troops, and limitanae, frontier garrisons. It works for a while, but fixed costs rise. Revenues don't. In 60 seconds, we'll watch the schedule that fed Rome's skip a beat. Rome isn't marble. Rome is logistics. Annona from Africa. Cursus publicus, moving orders faster than rumor. Limes guarded by watchtowers and men who show up because payday is real. Break one link and the chain strangles itself. Supply isn't a detail, it's destiny. A single legion costs more than swords. Pay, rations, boots, pensions, fort repairs, mules, nails, engineers. Multiply by dozens of legions and fleets. Miss one convoy, and you don't just miss lunch, you miss loyalty. Empty stomachs sign new contracts. Elites shift wealth into latifundia and secure exemptions. They fund ludi for applause, not garrisons for survival. The remaining curiales squeeze harder to hit quotas. People run to estates for protection. Trust collapses, numbers don't. The empire saves accounts and spends citizens. Two Romes now share one body, one in purple, writing edicts, one in iron, burying sons. The first looks eternal. The second pays for eternity. Guess which one is dying? Glory is cheap. Logistics are not. So the army changes shape to match a shrinking purse. And in the change, it loses something no reform can replace. Speed rises, spine thins. Once the army was Rome. Legionaries in Lorica stood scutum to scutum and pushed history forward. By late antiquity, the armor still glints. But the contract changes, recruits thin out. Wealthy families buy exemptions. Ranks fill with foederati, allied barbarians settled on Roman land, paid to fight Rome's wars. Help hired is help owed. This isn't betrayal, it's triage. Foederati ride fast, shoot hard, and expect land, not lectures. Some integrate, some remember their own kings. The line between ally and employee blurs by design. You can rent courage, you can't rent loyalty. Discipline bends, decimation fades, desertion rises. Limitane stare from underpaid walls, while comitatenses sprint from fire to fire. The West becomes a reaction force racing a bankruptcy clock. You can't hold a limes with I owe us. Adrianople, 378. Emperor Valens marches hot and thirsty toward a Gothic camp. Reinforcements are close, but pride is closer. Scouts misread a moving shadow, cavalry foraging, not fleeing. When they return, the door slams. 1 hour erases a generation. Iron still stands, but shock fractures cohesion. Valens disappears into dust. Officers die by the dozens. The lesson learned? Cavalry matters. Intelligence matters more. The lesson taken? Hire more Federate horse. Reward them. Rely on them. The fix works until the pantry empties. In 60 seconds, we'll shut the oven door on Rome's bread and watch loyalty crumble with the crust. When the grain stops, the empire stops. Carthage 439. The Vandals don't raid, they take. Warehouses, wharves, contracts. The Annona, the grain lifeline to Rome, becomes someone else's leash. Bread turns into tribute, tribute into habit, habit into chains. A city starves more quietly than it burns. Budgets implode. To feed Rome, the state must bargain with its enemy or find new Africa. There is no new Africa. Payroll slips, units peel away, commanders strike deals with local kings. Government becomes negotiation without leverage. An empire begging is an empire ending. Rome can raise an army, it cannot feed it, not reliably, not year after year. Attempts to retake Africa burn treasure the West can't replace. The treasury learns to bow. The army learns to follow whoever fills the wagons. Loyalty becomes logistics. Every crisis now hits twice. Once at the frontier, once in the bakery. A city that can't promise bread can't promise anything. The Vandals don't need to sack Rome every year. Hunger does their work. The loudest enemy is a silent oven. Walk the streets. Mills slowing, bakeries closing. Soldiers counting empty days. Law grows brittle. Once it snaps, it doesn't mend. When bread becomes rumor, power becomes local. Walk the Senate House, robes, statues, rhetoric. Then walk the outskirts, workshops shudder. Fields turn to pasture. Curiales hunted for arrears. Small farmers bound into the colonate. The law stays Roman, life doesn't. The mask is imperial, the heartbeat is municipal. Bishops rise where civil officers retreat. Charity patches the Annona where grain thins. Christianity didn't kill Rome, but it absorbed civic energy as old structures leaned on new networks, and the East, with money, survived. Faith fills gaps, it doesn't refill treasuries. Myths on trial, fast. Lead pipes drove elites mad. Cinematic, weak science. Christianity made Rome soft. Values shifted, but budgets decided sieges. The East outlived the West by a millennium. Barbarians destroyed Rome, yes and no. Many fought for pay under Roman titles. The fatal cut wasn't the sword, it was the contract the state could no longer fund. The knife was external, the bleeding was internal. Then the quiet ending, 476. Odoacer demands land for his Federate troops. Orestes says no. Ravenna falls without an epic siege. Romulus Augustulus, a teenager, steps off the stage with a stipend and a shrug. Regalia goes east. A patrician rules west. The curtain drops without a roar. The shocking truth isn't a battle. It's a budget, not a siege. A spreadsheet. Rome didn't run out of courage. It ran out of margin. When the Annona snapped, when taxes curdled into oppression, when pay chests arrived light, the most disciplined machine on earth learned the oldest lesson. You can't command tomorrow with debts from yesterday. Empires don't die, they default. Why should you care? Because every empire looks strong before it falls. Every system believes it can borrow one more year from the future. Stand on those walls for a moment. Would you trust the marble or the math? Your call decides what you notice next time. If this changed how you see Rome, tap like so it reaches more history fans. Subscribe for more brutal realities and step-by-step breakdowns. And tell me in the comments, did enemies kill Rome or invoices? Next up, Carthage 439, the grain lifeline that choked the West. The next ledger tells the harshest truth.